All right, so this is Wednesday, November 15th. This is the meeting of the CSI implementation group for Kubernetes, and we'll kick it off. I think, Vlad, you had something you wanted to talk about?
Um, what I was going to point out is I put some links for the PRs that we talked about last time, and I see that and you gave me the link to go look at for the feature gate. So I have
Yes.
done that. But here's where I am. Um, we got the mounter code is all checked in, ready to be taken and looked at by
Yep.
you guys. I have attacher and the probe or wait for attachment. That's working, passing all tests. What I can do, let me, is it okay if I share my screen?
Yeah, please.
All right, let me see if I can, actually, let me get set up and then I'll come back and show and kind of go through what I have.
Okay, so then let's just get started on the status updates, and we'll just go through this, and then for Vlad's
Yep.
part, we'll come back to it.
Yep.
So the entry volume plugin has, or the volume attachment API has been merged. So
Yay.
turn that to green. That's good. Oops. What color of green do we like? That one. So alpha feature gate for volume attachment, we don't have to do any additional work here since the API itself is v1 alpha 1. That means it's disabled by default. In order to enable it, you have to pass in this runtime config flag into the API server when it starts. And there is a environment variable that you can set in most of the deployment scripts that allows you to set this. So there's no additional work that needs to be done there. I don't like that green. All right. Next up is kubelet changes for volume attachment for kubectl. I'm still looking into this. I started work on it. I don't have a PR out yet. Consider that a work in progress. For the stuff Vlad is working on, I haven't had the chance to look at his PRs yet. I want to prioritize that highly today. And we'll skip over Vlad's stuff and we'll come back to it at the end of this. And anybody else want to do their status update?
Yeah, mine is the E2E stuff that we need to discuss today anyway.
Okay.
And the deployment stuff, I created a repo for it, and it's called, let me see here. It's under Kubernetes CSR. Here it is, resources. I just called it resources. That's completely generic. We can always change the name.
Okay.
But yeah, let me put the place right there. So that in it, I will have, my plan is to add the user documentation to it. User meaning, how do I deploy my CSI thing? How do I hook it up? You know, I'm a driver developer. How do I do this, right? And then at the same time, we are going to add there the YAML files that are needed to deploy the external attachment and external provisioner. So
cool. Sounds good to me.
Also, I have the Docker Hub created and the team created. I've added Jan and Vladimir. Please send me your Docker Hub information if you want. Yeah, I'll add the link there for the Docker Hub thing. And I'll do it after the meeting, after I'm talking. So that's what I've done. Also, so we need to talk about E2E. That's towards the end of the meeting. I'll do it after status.
Okay.
And I have one more thing to talk about during that time, which is discovery.
Okay.
Because I feel that We haven't defined that yet, and I really like the Docker method of discovery. Right? They have you put your Unix domain socket in this location, we automatically reload you. Awesome. And I think yeah, it's under my section there.
Okay.
And then, but something that we need to talk about, because it would be great to define a location, a known location in the file system for your Unix domain socket.
Okay, so we can come back to that.
Yep, and that's all I have.
Cool. Jan's is green. I don't know if we have another update on the provisioner for Brad. Is Brad on the line?
No.
Okay. So we'll let him do that offline. Next up is end-to-end packaging, which Luis got started on. Let's mark that as orange since we're working on it. Sidecar container, I still need to get started on this. I'm going to prioritize it lower than the stuff above because it is external. CSI Flex adapter.
I have it done. I will give a demo today.
Oh, sweet. Can you post your PRs in here?
I want to do it actually.
What's that?
Important copyright stuff is missing, so I just copy pasted, finished it now. So I will push it on
Okay.
the yeah.
Cool. And sample NFS volume plugin. Any updates here?
Nope, I'm gonna start working on it today, most likely. Yeah.
Cool. And then OSCOSI, same thing. And then the Portworx one, Luis.
The progress is going very well. I have submitted my actually got merged finally. The demo I did on Monday, that code got merged, and the work I'm doing now is adding mount and unmount, or node publish and unpublish. That's next week, if I have time, depending on the priority, because that's external. So I want to make sure that we get the internal stuff done first.
Okay. Sounds good to me. And feel free to throw a link in there if you want.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. I will do that.
So I have a question. Is this a list of simple plugin or a plugin that'll be available to show?
I think it's just plugins that this team is working on.
Okay.
Track work.
Okay.
Yeah. So actually, last week we talked about we need one plugin end to end, right? So
Yep.
we need to prioritize it for end to end, or what do you would like a GCE at least?
I'd like to see GCE in AWS at least, but I think we can punt on those until we have all the rest of the infrastructure ready.
Okay.
Focus on just adding new volume plugins and testing that path and figuring out what we need to add for beta and that kind of thing.
Okay.
So from the CSI community side of things, their model merged. We talked about that last time. One open issue for those of you who attended the community meeting this morning was whether to, for idempotent calls like create volume, should an error code, gRPC error code be returned, or should an OK be returned, and multiple versions of that problem. At the moment, it's decided that we're going to return both a gRPC error code already exists, as well as a standard gRPC response. This is behavior that the gRPC authors suggested against, but we feel like it gives us the most flexibility in terms of doing it in the future. It's not necessarily a solution that we're all happy with, but it seems to be one that most people agree with. Beyond that, I don't see any other blockers for alpha. I went through and reviewed the currently open issues. There's a bunch of issues that we're going to want to resolve for beta, but I don't think anything is blocking there on alpha. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the ... And mount devices, we moved to beta as well. It may or may not get into the spec. If it does, we'll add it there. Otherwise, we don't have to worry about it for alpha. Okay, so status update. Vlad, do you want to, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. You want to take over?
Yep. Let me do this. Can you guys see a terminal?
Not yet.
Not yet. What about now?
Nope.
No? Oh, that's right. I have to hit share screen. Are you seeing anything?
Yes.
The terminal?
Yep.
All right, awesome. So what I was about to, all right. Is it too small, too big, or
Oh, no, it's fine.
it's fine? Okay. So like I was saying, what I've been able to, I mean, what's more complete right now are two things: the volume CSI type, the persistent volume CSI type. Actually, that PR is ready to be merged whenever somebody can give it a LGTM or whatever.
Yep.
And the second PR that I have is the CSI mounter, and basically it does exactly what you would expect. It takes a pre-existing volume and attempts to mount it. Okay, so what we're looking at is the code, and I just want to point out that a lot of this is, a lot of this is hard coded right now. I'm just pointing out that, for instance, this is hard coded, where we're gonna communicate with the driver. And there's some other places where I'm not exactly sure at this time where things will come from. So I have some to do. For instance, FS type. I don't have a clear answer at that point, so it's hard coded as well.
So for the socket, take a look at the design doc. We came to a agreement of what the standard path should be. It just injects the CSI driver name into the path, and it assumes that it exists there.
Yeah, I was doing that there. Here.
Yeah.
I took it out just so I can because I have to make sure that the path already exists, etc. So I'll put that in there. But that was the way I was gonna go. I had a CSI kind of like a template for the address for the path, and injecting the actual value where the actual driver would put the socket. So I'll circle back to the design doc.
Isn't this what I was talking about? Isn't the same issue?
Sorry, what's that, Luis?
Isn't this the same thing that I was trying to say at the beginning? Like, where do we place?
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is we've been discussing this on the design doc. There is already and I guess this is a good point to discuss it now, Luis, since we're kind of naturally talking about it. So yes, discovery of the socket for kubelet should be dynamic. The way that it's currently spec'd out, it requires Kubernetes to basically, if a user points to a CSI volume and that volume gets scheduled to a node, then kubelet will say, oh, okay, let me see if that path exists with that particular driver name. And that should be sufficient for alpha. That's what we're planning on doing for alpha. Moving forward for beta, what we want to do is make sure that we have alignment with what other components in Kubernetes are doing, because this registration and discovery is a broader problem than just CSI. For example, device plugins, GPU device plugins are hitting the same set of problems. Today, the GPU device registration mechanism, it has kubelet expose a socket, which external plugins can then call and register themselves with. we want to align with that model. That model needs to be reviewed because we're not certain that that's what we want for all of Kubernetes. I think Tim Hawkins is going to do a review on that. An alternative proposal would be that Kubelet should just be probing certain directories and expecting things to show up there.
Right.
So that CSI or external device plugin sockets would just show up in a certain place, and maybe have some way to negotiate what that socket is responsible for. But that design remains up in the air, and we're just going to wait for that to land before we pick it up for beta.
Okay.
Okay.
The one where the kubelet has a location of for communication for registration. That's not part of the CI spec, right? So
it's
that
not
would
part of the CSI spec, correct? It's external to CSI, but we want to align with it once it gets.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that as a driver developer, I have to write a specific thing for Kubernetes.
No, it would be a sidecar container that would do all of that registration for you.
So the sidecar container from Kubernetes will do that?
Correct.
But then the sidecar container needs to find the CSI container.
The sidecar container will be packaged with the CSI container.
Right.
That's right.
So and when you do a deployment, your YAML would point to both of them.
Right.
That's right. And what I'm trying to say is that the sidecar container needs to communicate with the real CSI driver on a known location.
Right, and that already is defined in the CSI spec.
Oh, okay. And that, I didn't see that.
So if you look in the CSI spec, there is a specific gRPC, there's a specific location where the socket needs to be dropped. And that socket is basically just going to be an empty dir that's shared between these two.
But what's the name of it?
The path or the
path?
Yeah, it's in there.
I forget what exactly it is. Just look it up in this, look at spec.md, it'll be in there.
Okay, I'm on it. I'll look for.
It's under deployment, or I think deployment scenarios or something like that.
Packaging, something like that.
Okay, yeah. So, so what you guys are looking on the screen, on this side, I have local cluster up running. And then down here, I have a version of CSI mock from Andrew. I know that's the demo I wanted to do last time, but it crapped out. But I don't think he's fixed it yet, so it's still gonna crap out because there's a bug. There's a bug in there. But what I wanted to show is, so I'm gonna. So down here, I manually I have a throwaway program that talks to the mock CSI driver and created a volume, and I did that like 10 while we were talking earlier. So there's a volume represented in there. And that volume has the same name as what's in the PV. So let me. So if you look at the PV, I have the volume handle vol test 123, and that's what I created down here. Okay. And so now I'll go ahead and, just for the sake of demoing, I'm going to create a PV. I'm also create a PVC that is what's gonna that I'm gonna use in a pod to consume that volume. So that was the quickest way I could figure out how to get this to work. So now I have both PVs and PVC. Yes. Get PV. We see that that's there, and then at PVC it's bounded. Now, so now, if I go ahead and let's look at the pod real quick. So it's basically a pod that makes a reference to that PVC that got deployed. So once when I deploy this pod, it should trigger Kubernetes, and Kubernetes will talk to the driver down here. So you'll see a bunch of stuff flying around once this is done. And that's exactly what's going on. Now, like I said, there's an issue here, but this is doing the entire round trip. It is going through the mount, and the mount is actually calling the CSI volume or the CSI driver, and that is what's going on here. And this is where it craps out because there's a bug in that program. But that notwithstanding, when I deployed the pod, it went through the entire data path of Kubernetes and calling the driver. So what I want to point out is that driver has nothing to do with Kubernetes.
Yep.
It's just listening on the socket and waiting for. And if we look, let me do this real quick. You'll see. You'll see all the calls. And basically, it's telling me that something is wrong. But if we let me. It's continually trying to do something, but so this is where it actually trying to talk to CSI. Let's see if I can. There you go. And of course, Kubernetes is saying, "Hey, I'm failing because there's something wrong." But this is where you could see the whole flow. The plugin gets initialized, the mounter gets started. When the pod is deployed, Kubernetes kicks off the mounter right here, and it's saying I'm trying to mount it. It does a version check against the CSI driver, and then it says that code not found.
Volume doesn't exist.
Yeah, volume doesn't exist. Voltest, I thought volume does exist.
Is that the mock plugin?
Yeah, it's right here. It's the mock plugin. I need to update it to figure out what's going on. There are some issues with it, but the good thing is, this there's an extensive set of unit tests that's part of this. That is down to the level of mocking an actual CSI driver as well.
Nice.
To make sure that all of this works. So even if I didn't have the mock, I can, with a fair degree of high confidence, that this works. But nice. when I update the actual CSI driver, I'll be able to do an end-to-end.
Yep.
Completely.
This is great. One question: why is setting up mounter called very frequently?
It's failing.
Setting up mounter is that the same as the setup at call?
Yeah, that's the setup at call.
Okay.
It's just at the beginning of the. So if we look at the code.
So when setup at fails, then the volume plugin should return error, and then
and then Kubernetes will try again.
Kubernetes will try again, and that should be exponential back off, right? Like it'll.
Right. I mean, all of this eventually will stop.
Okay.
Yeah. Eventually, Kubernetes. Matter of fact, if we do this, it probably already did. If we do a kubectl describe, I so wish there was a DSC for describe. Describe pod. I've come so close to putting in a PR for this. So eventually it should say,
setup failed, RPC error. Yep, that looks good.
Yeah. So the path is clear. Everything is is gelling. Nice. Not the rough edges notwithstanding.
Yep.
And then for the attacher detacher, right now everything is working in. Where is it? CSI attacher test. So my attacher is mostly, or it's all unit test right now, but it's just basically the same thing. I'm able to test both the attacher and the weight for attach as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I have different scenarios, whether it's attach okay,
Mm-hmm.
attachment error, or I run out of time when we're too long. So all of that is tested okay.
Nice.
So the plan is wrap that, get the change that got accepted, your changes,
Mm-hmm.
get that merge in.
Yeah, so those got merged last night. You should be able to rebase now.
Right. That's what I meant. I'm sorry. Rebase, rebase with mine, and I've already created a third PR just for the attacher detacher. So we have the volume type, the mount unmount, and the attacher detacher PRs.
Cool.
The volume mount, we should be able to. It's been ever since it got dropped in, Jan and a few other people have been able to take a look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's ready. I mean, it's passing all the tests.
Cool. Let me take a look at it, and then hopefully you can get that sucker merged.
Yeah, that'd be one less thing for me to keep track of.
Yeah. This is great.
Yeah, thanks. I think we're gonna be in a good position.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get by today, tomorrow, kind of get both attacher detacher in.
Yep.
And then spend Friday and hopefully the weekend playing around with the end to end, trying to get Jan's piece up
Mm-hmm.
and do an actual end to end.
Oh man, this is great.
Yeah, it's amazing that it's coming together. It's like,
Yep.
It actually works.
Good job,
But
dude.
yeah, thanks, man. And that's it.
All right. I think we're looking good then. Let's keep on chugging along. I'm gonna take a look at those PRs and hopefully we can get them in as soon as possible, and then go from there.
Yeah, I'll put the last PR in the document so we have a place of reference for them.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Anything else? All right, then we'll call it for today. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Wait.
Oh,
we didn't
sorry.
talk about end-to-end tests.
Oh, yes.
I have a quick demo for 2 minutes too, but yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'll
Let's do
skip mine till Friday.
I can do a 2-minute demo
okay.
then. Either way, if you have time, I can do a quick 2-minute demo. It won't take long.
Go ahead, go for it.
Okay, let me share my screen. Okay.
Sorry, Chakri. I just ate up all the time.
Okay. So what I have over here is a flex adapter. It's going to expose endpoint. It's going to take a driver name, Chakri NFS, and driver path is the flex volume directory with a node ID CSI node.
Nice.
And actually, it by default enables based upon the plugin capabilities, whether it's a single node writer, it supports attach, detach, publish, and publish or not. Okay. And going to the other terminal, this is actually a CSI tool which I wrote because the base CSI didn't work. All it does is node publish NFS to the same endpoint. And with the volume ID is NFS volume, I'm just cooking it up. File system type is NFS. Target path where it wants to mount is temp NFS. Server and the share. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
We'll get a call over here. Give me 1 minute. I realized I need to connect. Okay. Now this should go through. Do I have it right? Yes. Give me 1 minute, guys. Sorry. Okay.
I think all of us have. It took us 2 tries, so man.
Absolutely.
Let me do one thing. Let me kill this and start.
And on my first try, it died 3 times. So.
So yeah, it's just doing that. Let's
I'll try to buck the trend, man.
I sat all night making it to work, so now don't. do we have the path correct, temp, NFS sock? Yep. That's interesting. Okay.
You don't have a backup demo like Apple does, or?
So, but yeah, I can actually show you maybe the screen log. That will be good for now. And then just mount like this. I have to check what went wrong. So, and once you do the unpublish, it's going to just publish it.
How are you handling mount device?
I'm not actually. I'm just calling the bare mount today right now because that's the question.
Okay.
I just want to give a little overview. Like I started putting the controller default calls into something called a default. And if the controller wants to implement, they can just implement the calls based upon their capabilities. Minimal calls. So Identity Server doesn't implement almost anything because it doesn't need to. Because all Identity Server defaults will work because all it gets is a plugin info and the supported version, which you can initialize at start. So yeah, I'll put this PR in today, and then yeah, we'll take it from there.
Dude, this is sweet.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool.
It didn't work though.
Once it works, I think this will be great for folks that already have a Flex driver. They can literally just drop their driver into the same container as your code and have it work.
Yep.
CSI.
Yep. Thank you.
Cool. All right, Luis, back to you.
Oh, mine. I think we should wait.
You want to wait?
Yeah,
Okay.
we need like 10 minutes to talk.
Okay,
That's
that's fair.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead and move that to the next meeting then, and we'll adjourn for today.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Take care.
Okay, guys.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
It just worked. It's the network.
Right. It just worked.
Seriously, man, I'm not kidding. Anyway.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
All right. See you.